Today we're going to be talking about the best indoor wedding venues in Portland, according to Deyla, of course. She has a studio in Portland, Deyla Huss Photography, where she runs a team. And according to her, these are some of her favorite indoor venues.
Again, not in any particular order of this is my most favorite to not so favorite.
So Deyla's referencing the reason she's saying again, because we just finished another recording where we talked about our favorite outdoor wedding venues. So if you're curious to see that, I'll have a slide for that at the end of this video, or you can check the description if you're watching this on YouTube down below. So in no particular order, here are the indoor options.
All right. So sometimes, as a photographer, this particular venue is the Portland Art Museum. Sometimes a lot of photographers can get a little scared off because the lighting can be very all over the place there. The spotlighting and things like that and the tables that they actually set up for you, it's perfect for the museum. Really help those lighting issues that a lot of people get scared off from. And a lot of people that book the venue say maybe they don't have a wedding planner or they're just booking it for, whatever. They may not know that that's an option. So definitely add the lighting from the ceiling lighting kind of situation, and you can't see it. It's definitely specialized. They have it special for angling down right where all the tables are, where your ceremony is, and all that kind of stuff. It's a beauty. It makes it a lot easier to work around. And honestly, because of I love the natural light kind of feel, I tend to bounce off of whatever available light there is. So it's a great and fun venue to shoot in. So I always like it because it's a little bit of a challenge, but then it's also a lot of fun to kind of shoot and bounce off of candles and, things like that. So also you can either rent the entire space. So both ballrooms, basically the whole venue. So you can walk around the actual art museum, which is a lot of fun. I've actually shot in there, the art museum when there was no guests there. There's a little secret library downstairs that not a lot of people know about that I've shot in there. There's a lot of cool hidden nooks and crannies, and there's also a lot of beautiful, Greek kind of statues, things like that makes it kind of fun to shoot around that too. So, and the only thing is that, it's one of those locations that doesn't have, there's not parking on site. So you got to figure out kind of shuttling in people. There is parking garages, but they're kind of a ways. So shuttling in people is kind of what I've heard that's most popular, kind of getting people into the, to that location.
So maybe getting a room block and putting all the guests at one location, and then ultimately then you can shuttle them from A to B and they don't have to deal with public parking.
Right. Yeah. Because public parking, I don't know if people aren't from here, it's kind of a pain sometimes down in Portland. So.
And that's a lot to ask your guests to try to fight through and find and deal with.
Yeah. There's a small lot right next door, but it's a small lot. So it's not going to get, usually Portland Art Museum, the bigger the guest list, probably the better use of space. Because obviously if you have a small reception or wedding there, it's going to look a little silly because it's such a grand space, both ballrooms, that having a small wedding might not be what you're looking for there as your venue. So, so spend money on lighting. And upping that guest list just to kind of, obviously get a wedding planner. And get somebody that's photographed there before. So, Portland Art Museum, like I said, is very particular. So a lot of times, if you just book somebody that's never shot there before, it's a very, it can be you could get lost too. And it's very complicated to go back and forth and all this kind of stuff, because you could be on one floor, you could be on another. Knowing the space, I think that's important for every venue, to be honest, but I know that that's not possible for a lot, but I think this particular space, there definitely should be some experience shooting there. So, to be honest, just going off of the first time that I shot there. So another one that I like is Cooper's Hall. So, and Cooper's Hall, again, is not a huge guest list. Maybe, I don't know, what would you say, Craig? 150 tops there?
Cooper's Hall is interesting too, because it depends, in my opinion, it depends. Are you wanting to do your ceremony there and your reception? Because then you're flipping the space. And so that's always interesting because the more people you have, it can get really crowded. And I've had some weddings that were crowded in there. I'm not sure what the count was, but be really cognizant. I wouldn't push the limits. If you feel like you're coming up against their highest point, you might, and you want to have your ceremony there, you might want to reconsider.
Yeah.
But if you have the right amount of people for it, I personally really like it. Parking's still bare for people, but the space is just really cool, and you have to be ready to deal with homeless people too. I have shot speeches where you have like the homeless guy in the background.
Hey,
like, I know. You're like, all right.
I've seen that before. You just have to ignore it. If you're getting married in Portland, especially downtown or any of those urban areas, you got to expect that. I mean, especially on the floor ground of a venue being on the floor. It's like,
with floor to ceiling windows right onto the sidewalk. But I love the venue. They have the upper area. They have the bar. Everything's really centralized. Yep. They've just done a good job with the space. And I think that's usually what they do when they flip.
Right? They go upstairs when they flip.
I've never had people, I've had them open that, but I've never had them shove everybody. Usually I see them where they get pushed up to the bar edge in the entrance and the upstairs.
Oh,
and then they take over that far side to do the flip. But the nice thing about that too is there's already a lot of decorations and
greenery,
floral greenery. And so, I don't know. One thing is like, I just don't think you have to do much to it if you don't want to.
Right. Yeah. And the nice thing is that you have like, I mean, if you like wine, you know, there's the backdrop, you know, for your ceremony or whatever. There is a wall of wine barrels.
Wall of taps, yes. Oh, wine barrels too.
So was that wine or is it? No, it's wine, right?
It's wine barrels, and then I think it's wine on tap.
Oh yeah. So you've got that kind of cool aesthetic, but you've got all the hanging greenery and the ferns and all that kind of stuff. That vibe, and to be honest, it has, you know, I love the light in there. It gives off a really good light. And it can be a little bougie. It can be a little bit more on the casual side. It just kind of depends on, you know, what you're thinking. But I did a wedding right before COVID, and they got married there and did all the things. But their after party, they had a New Orleans style band that they did a parade down to the next location. And so it was so fun because they came into the Cooper's Hall and then they did the whole thing, and it was like, and I wasn't even expecting it. It was supposed to be a surprise, I guess, but we trailed down, did a parade down to the next location. It was a lot of fun. So everybody's looking at us, you know, it was pretty awesome. So that's a great spot, for, you know, again, not super huge. And I hear it books up really, really fast too for Portland venues. So, and I don't think they do like allow a ton of weddings events. So I think they cap it at like, I don't even know what it is per year, but so that's why you should, if you like it, get on it. But, and then so again, I think we've mentioned this a couple of times, but, well, in the last video, so when we did for outdoor wedding venues, I also want to include this in the indoor because we were saying how versatile Waverly Country Club is. Again, it's got that beautiful kind of classic feel on the outside, but on the inside, it's also a really great spot because it is, you know, a little bit on the traditional side, but it's not super stuffy cigar type country club feel. Yeah. It's a little bit more, you know, a little bit more classy, a little bit more lighter. They've got some beautiful wallpaper, some chandeliers in there. It's got a great setup, you know, for tables and stuff like that, beautiful fireplace. And they've got, you know, another room that you can go to that also has a fireplace. It has a beautiful chandelier and, you know, have set up there. So there's lots of different, you know, ways that you can kind of park yourself. And you can get married. Also, there's a ceremony spot as well in there. So it's all like in there, but it's all kind of spaced out really well.
If you compare Waverly to something like Cooper's does better with a small space. It's one big open space, and then two, they have to flip. Whereas Waverly, if you're familiar, you walk in, you have that big room in the back, which is where usually dining table, dinner's all set up. And then when you look to the left, there's a huge open room. And I was just telling you in the last video, it's like the couple wanted to have an outdoor wedding. It rained. They move all the chairs to that space. It's not like they had to tear anything down or a flip had to happen. So they have that room on the left. And then in addition, the last wedding I was at, there's another room on the right. And so the bar, cocktail, everything sets up in there. And then I've had it where in that main room, when you walk in, I've had it where they've had that space and they have a band and they have dancing in there, or sometimes they'll even do dancing off to the left. So it is just kind of nice where they have enough space to where they can, each room can be specialized to a certain thing. And people are just constantly kind of flowing throughout the space. And it's very nice.
Yeah.
And they have bride prep upstairs. A great room with
big
like light that
there.
I really like. Yeah, a big room. And then also
I love it in there. It's beautiful.
They have that greenhouse a house that's green on like X
Oh,
hole
the greenhouse.
to
I was
where
like, wait, what
is it?
greenhouse?
Yeah. Not the
The
greenhouse,
one
the
that's the
house that
guys
is
where the guys
green.
get
Yeah, and the
ready.
guys can get
The
ready.
house
And so
that
it's
is
nice
green.
that
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of couples not traveling on a wedding day. Like you're just introducing somebody getting stuck in traffic, a car breaking down. You're
100%.
extending the day,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting stressed. You're just
Mm-hmm.
adding all these variables that I'm just like minimize as many variables as you can and keep control. And so
Yeah.
that's what's nice about Waverly is everything is just in one place.
Mm-hmm.
Prep everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and Waverly too, another good thing is that they, if you wanted like, and I've done, winter weddings there when it was
Mm-hmm.
just ice cold, but they have their furs on. It's really beautiful, and they can have their cocktail hour. They had there's a cigar bar and a cocktail kind of situation when it's not raining, of course, out there on
Yeah.
the patio and stuff like that too, which is really nice. You could kind of get, bounce back and forth and, and then come back inside and all that kind of stuff too. And, when they put the tented area up too, you can have that outdoor feel, but indoors as well, and still have, you can put heaters up and do all that thing too, to kind of have that same vibe, I guess. So yeah, it's great. It's a versatile, but again,
so that's a good indoor and outdoor option.
Yeah. And Waverly Country Club, though, obviously a downfall is that you have to be, maybe it's not a downfall, I shouldn't say that, but you have to be a member or sponsored by somebody that is a member. So, yeah, just so you know. And they don't, you need to if you're booking Waverly, they book really, really, really fast. So, yeah. Okay. So another one that is off the top of my head is Iron Lights. And Iron Lights is actually a newer venue in Lake Oswego. And I'm actually, so again, I'm the OG. I shot the first few events there. Got to know the owners and the staff really well, which is everybody's amazing. But Iron Light is pretty special because it's, right downtown Lake Oswego. So you've got that kind of vibe as well as like, the waterfront and all that kind of stuff near there. But it's this modern building in the center of Lake-O that has an indoor, very well lit natural light indoor space. And so upstairs, and it's all windows on site. And then it also, which is nice, they can actually, what do you call those doors that to the out to the porch, the slider doors or whatever.
Yeah. So they essentially make the wall disappear.
Yeah, exactly. So you can kind of have that flow of going in, out, in, out. Which is kind of nice too. But, and also you have the view of the mountain, which is everybody's favorite and stuff like that too. So, because it does sit up pretty high. I think it's the highest building in Lake Oswego, if I'm correct. So anyways, so you have a good view of kind of overhead of everything. And the only downfall is that if you wanted to go outside for some photos, and not just, be on the patio. And if it's a cruddy day, you could shoot indoors. Inside is totally fine. But because it's all open space and it's, all just right there, there's not a lot of places you could go as a couple to shoot without there being everybody there. Does that make sense? So, so there's a covered area. If you go downstairs, it's, the cement blocks and stuff like that. You can use that maybe, but there's not a lot of options for outdoor portraits per se. Yeah. Unless you go off somewhere else. So, and then, another one on the list is Sentinel Hotel, which the Sentinel is, what did it used to be? It used to be a different hotel. What was it called? Do you remember?
I'm not sure. I am not the best with memory.
With an H. I think it was called with an H, not the Heathman. Anyways, it used to be a different hotel, I think, and then it became Sentinel Hotel years ago. But I've always known it as the Sentinel. So we're going to go with that. But it's a great place to get married because, first of all, there's lots of different areas to get married. So they've got lots of different ballrooms, lots of different spaces. So depending on the size, you can have a huge guest list or you can have a more intimate, wedding. They have this really cool space called the library that you can also get married in. I've done a lot of first looks there, things like that are really cool. And yeah, it's just very versatile. It's got that, what's that vibe? That kind of Parisian, feel in some of the ballrooms or rooms or whatever you want to call them. So, and there's this one room that has, I think it's called the Venetian room. I'm not sure, but it has that really cool ceilings, with, kind of murals, situation and wallpaper and things like that. That's really cool. And that's a good one for like a smaller ceremony. But yeah, and you can also stay on site. So that's a plus about getting married at a hotel. You can also get married on site and also have all your guests and things like that. So you can, what better way you can enjoy your drinks and also just go to bed right afterwards. So you don't have to drive and all that kind of stuff, which is great. So for out of town guests or even not out of town. So, yeah. And then parking, it's downtown hotel parking. So whether you want to do valet, there's not a ton. I mean, there's there's some parking lots and things like that, but
valet would probably be best in those situations.
Yeah.
But it is nice too if you think about guests and you're inviting families with kids. The nice thing about that is that if the kids need to go to bed, go send them up to the hotel room. Maybe somebody can stay with them or get a monitor. Anyways, you got options. Totally. So it might make it more accessible for the adults.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people, relax a little bit more too when they're on site because they don't have to worry about if they're not going home. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of a nice feeling. Like,
nice. Okay. Yeah.
I can party. I don't have to worry about driving home or getting Uber or whatever, babysitters, that kind of stuff. So,
all right. Thank you so much, Deyla, for sharing your top indoor venues. If you want to learn more about Deyla and reach out to her, you can reach her at www.deylahusphotography.com. That's Deyla Huss, Huss photography.com, or you can find her on Instagram at Deyla Huss Photo. With that being said, thank you guys so much. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have questions, you're watching this on YouTube, just leave the comments down below and we will help you guys out. Thanks, Deyla.
Thanks a lot.